Hello, everyone, and welcome to the second episode of 40,000 Layers. I don't know why I sang that. I don't know why I sang that bit, but apparently that's happening now.
40,000 layers.
Layers. Back to the intro. In this show, I'm Tashna. Hi. I'll be painting a whole bunch of miniatures and hopefully getting better at it because, I mean, last time was pretty good, but this time was not starting out on the right foot. And hopefully getting better anyway. And Sheepy, the Wandering Inn, will be teaching me about Warhammer 40k lore. So I'm excited.
Specifically, the Eldari.
Today, not always.
Today. Yeah, no. Specifically today.
There you go. I'm excited. I have obviously an Eldar Howling Banshee here, but I'll show that off in just a minute. And we're going to say thank you to the folks already supporting the show on Patreon over at patreon.com/40,000 layers. And those folks are the wonderful, particularly Money, Damned Man, Ramona, V Mushroom, Retrograde Vector, Asuryan, and Grey Blue One. So thank you very, very, very much for that. Very appreciated. Had to buy like 20,000 million paints for these Eldar Banshees.
You guys chose this, or more technically, I think I was forced to choose this.
Yes, there was a tie for this one.
Yeah.
But I guess we could go into what's going to be the next topic right off the bat.
Yeah. Because it's been voted for by the patrons.
It has. That was what I was going to say. Which I guess I'll do the spiel. If you enjoy 40,000 Layers, make sure to head over to Patreon and support the show. There is a custom Discord channel, exclusive Patreon posts, and you get to vote and decide the next topic. The vote for August is now closed, obviously, and we're going to announce the winner, which is a resounding vote for Tzeentch.
How resounding was it? Just everyone voted Tzeentch?
Everyone voted Tzeentch. Like Jesus Dark Christ. Eldar had 0, Khorne had 0, Tzeentch had 5. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So I guess my reputation precedes me.
Everyone wants to know about it. It was supposed to be this way all along, I suppose.
That's
and
not exactly as planned, or just as planned is the meme.
Well, look.
That was exactly how I wanted it to go.
That's what I wanted to say.
Time when I was planning for it to happen.
I wasn't planning on saying any of this. I don't know.
It's cool.
And so we're going to open the votes just after today's video for September, and the topics that you could vote for are Khorne, Nurgle, or the Emperor. So
all the other Chaos gods,
except our Slaanesh.
So Slaanesh is a little later in the timeline. We thought we'd leave that till a bit later. I'm sure. Also, we're going to touch on Slaanesh here, which is always a bad idea.
You already went there. Okay. Sorry, I chuckled, but I was turning the page for my paint guide. Look, we all know the Slaanesh meme. It's not how it has to be. Don't sully this.
So yes, those of you who are like, hey, I enjoy this show, I want to support it. As Tash has already said, there is the Patreon. However, additionally, there are also target goals for amount of support per month, where if you hit them, you will do things like open up an extra episode. So we'll do 2 episodes a month instead of 1.
Wow.
I want one that's like a little bit in between some of our other ones. That is, you have to paint your nails thematically for what you're
Whoops. I forgot painted nails today. I'm sorry. I mean, that would be so cool, though. Like, you've not told me this. And I'm like, I'm down for that. I'll have to get, like, a nail art kit,
it literally came to me as we were doing the thing. And I was like, what if you painted your nails thematically for the topic that we're covering? I think that would be really cool. But that could be a target, so, like, it will basically force you to do it once we hit a goal.
Well, we will have to see if that arises. But as mentioned for you all, today we have the lovely Howling Banshee Exarch, with, I can't pronounce the word. Is it Triskele?
Triskelion.
No, just it doesn't have the alien on the end.
Oh, I'm not 100% sure.
Well, I think
That means
in the book it's Triskele, so I'm gonna say it like that. And if it's wrong, that's not my problem. And obviously the gun. So with the Exarch, I had a couple of options for weaponry, and I chose this one because it wasn't on the box and it looked cool, and there doesn't seem to be many other people that paint it. So here it is. Yay.
yeah, looks like Triskele.
Yeah. Quickly before we start, the priming on this job is not as good as my previous paints, unfortunately, but it just makes it look aged. But, you know, that's my story and I'm sticking with it. So it's gonna be fine.
I think it looks good.
It's gonna be fine. But I need to get some paintbrushes.
Yes.
Yeah, and we're getting ready. You all ready? I'm so excited.
Oh yeah. You are going to, and I just want to point out that Tash decided on this one to pick the one with the biggest plinth to stand upon, which is appropriate for an Eldar. So.
Oh, well, yeah. Some of the others had little stones, but I like the Exarchs. Very dramatic.
Exarchs are cool, and they also have the Krull throwing bladed thing. If anyone gets that, you're too old.
I feel better.
Krull is like a 80s B movie.
Oh,
maybe
okay.
Maybe 70s.
Yeah, no, it wasn't even conceived at that point.
1983. Yeah, so it was a year before I was born as well. Why do I know it then? Okay, whatever.
You're an old man. That's how it is. You're old in the soul. We're gonna start with some Wraithbone for the base coat, because that's what I planned. So that's what I'm doing. Oh, I don't know. I always get really nervous at the start of a paint.
Once I start talking, you'll treat me as white noise and just like ease into it. It'll be fine.
Yeah, it'll be all right.
Speaking of me starting to talk, shall we talk about Eldar?
Yeah, I guess so. It's kind of why we're here.
So, because you really knew, like, we were both aware that you weren't aware at all of Necron.
I mean, I feel like I knew a little bit more about Necrons than I do about, why am I using this giant brush? Than the Eldar. I have no idea, honestly, about them. Other than
Really?
They were made. Now, obviously, we know that.
Kind of.
Fight the Necrons? Question mark?
They were kind of like backups. It's all very vague. So, and I'm sure we'll get into this one.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, they were made, and they exist. And I know that they had a big old drama. And they split off into two factions: the emos and the drama queens,
or the
Dark Eldar and Eldar, as they're more commonly known, I suppose.
Yeah.
And they were involved with Slaanesh being in existence.
Yes,
and that's
you
about
know the meme that is just so eye rolling at this point, where it's like, all commissars are shooty, executiony bastards.
Yeah.
It's essentially they had sex so much that that Slaanesh was birthed, which isn't exactly true, but isn't 100% away from what happened. So
Well, obviously, I do know a little bit more about Slaanesh. So, because of the tabletop game, and not adhering to the memes, but
which was fun. I enjoyed that.
I enjoyed that. But the Eldar, I don't know, it was the excess, wasn't it? They were so excessive with whatever it was, whether that be pride in combat and everything. So as I understand it, but
there was also a little bit of trickery going on and being fooled and all that type of thing.
And
It
some
it wasn't
sex.
fun. Yes, and a whole and a whole load of additionals. That's
Okay.
well. So the Eldar were around way back during the whole War in Heaven, which we talked about in the last episode. You can go check it out on the playlist and on YouTube. Between the Necrons, the old ones, and the Catan, what we basically learned there was Necrons had a hard time, man. Well, the Necron tier had a hard time.
Well, the Necrons also have a hard time. Like, they don't remember.
Well, yeah, but
Look, I will defend the Necrons. Don't even.
Okay,
My buddies.
I've got my hands up. I'm backing off.
I'll fight you.
Are they turning into your favorite faction?
Well, to be fair,
You don't know that many.
I don't know that many factions.
Yeah.
So yes.
Okay. I quite like the Eldar. It is unfortunate for them that they are so
Mimi?
No, well, not really. They kind of are because everyone's like, oh, the Eldar are screwed in current tabletop.
Oh, they're broken?
in like the No, worse than that. Basically everything they have has been taken by all the other factions, and there's nothing about them that's like
Special,
interesting or unique.
It's a shame.
Basically everyone's like, why did you do that to the Eldar? And Games Workshop is like, to sell miniatures, actually. Thank you.
So do other people have these guns now? Because they look pretty plain, and I actually like the power swords. They look cool. But
yeah.
Oh yeah, because
no.
I think lots of people have them. In hindsight.
The thing is that like I think Games Workshop is trying to make is trying to make the Imperium a bit more modern. Yeah, there you go. Like hover tanks and like the Eldar used to be the only ones with like anti-grav technology, so they had like hover tanks and all this and like defense platforms that like hovered and that type of thing.
Oh, did that make them quite OP or?
Not really. They were very glass cannony.
Right.
I assume they still are. They had a lot of really cool like advanced technology but there weren't that many of them and they're expensive, so you know, an Eldari army tended to be a bit smaller and a bit more like fast and hard hitting.
Yeah.
But if you get hit, then you're a little bit screwed.
My kind of play style.
I really like the Eldar. I think they're really interesting. Speaking of which,
tell me about it.
It's essentially when the Necrons disappeared.
Yeah.
And well, you know, like we know that they went to sleep, but
Yeah,
I don't think the Eldar really knew what happened. Maybe they did. I'm not 100% sure on that one. And obviously the Eldar disappeared and the Tan were overthrown. It's like, who's going to take over the galaxy? The Orcs? Probably not. They keep fighting each other.
They're having a good time.
Yeah. So basically, because of their technology and because of their like abilities, and you know, just because they were almost like the favorites of the old ones, they pretty much ascended to dominate the galaxy.
Cool. Yeah, I love that. That, you know, great.
They basically expanded their empire all around. Apparently, like 10,000 star systems, like thousands of which were colonized.
But did they kill a bunch of folk, or was there not much life to speak of that they cared about anyway? Because obviously they're not going to care about Necron tier, are they?
They kind of didn't really care about it. Like they were the only really intelligent species that was like knocking around, and you know they're all smart and technologically advanced, and they were the best, and yeah, they're kind of assholes.
I was gonna say, like, are they the people judging that they're not they're not
Ye-
intelligent enough to be aware? So we'll just cleanse this planet and take it over.
yeah, yeah. Well,
40K.
so like at this time, this is like ages and ages back. This
Okay.
is like the war in heaven and all that type of stuff had ended, but it was still like millions of years ago.
Right.
And essentially, the core of their empire was around this area, which now you might know, even yourself who doesn't know that much 40K. It's called the Eye of Terror.
I have heard it, but I don't know.
You remember that big hole that was torn in reality so that the warp could like bloop out?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the Eye of Terror. So
Right.
that's basically just a coincidence. You know, shit
Nothing to
happens.
see here.
Well, it's not there yet, but
Okay.
you know, one day later on might be the Eldar's fault, might not.
Bloody
the Eye
Eldar.
you know what happened is like a million years after the whole war in heaven and the Necrons have gone to sleep and all that type of stuff, they found this dude wandering in space,
Steve.
and he was like, hey, can I be your advisor? And so the reign of Steve the Necrontyr, advisor to the Eldar,
began.
he may have given them some bad advice. He may have been like, pleasure cults sounds good, let's do it. Sacrifices, yep, love it, let's go. Yeah, this whole thing. But the most interesting thing about this time is that the warp, I guess it's not even called the warp at this point, it's like the Immaterium, was not a horrible place. There were like corners of it where Khorne was like, oh, war. But, you know, it wasn't like overpowered with chaos. Essentially, when an Eldar died, they just, their soul would just basically get absorbed into the Immaterium or into the warp, and then, you know, one day be reborn.
Aw. And then they ruined it.
Yeah, I mean, you know, well, yeah. Well, you know what? We'll
Jumping ahead, sorry.
And then the Fire Nation attacked.
And then.
So kind of. Well, actually, we should probably talk about the gods of the Eldari because R.I.P. to them.
Probably deserved it.
Essentially, and this is kind of how Games Workshop explains the change in lore over time, is like they're like, oh yeah, Eldar myths kind of, you know, they had gods and they were in the Immaterium. Were they real? Probably, but they could have also been the old ones, and you know, like, so that's confusing, and who knows, and that type of thing. But the Eldar gods basically lived in the Immaterium. They occupied the warp, and they were kind of the most powerful. They were kind of they always make me think of Norse gods.
Right. In that, they
I don't know why.
Think about it. I mean, if they live in the quote afterlife and they can be reborn, and if they're, you know, doing sacrifices to them, then I can see it.
And they kind of bicker and argue quite a lot.
The gods?
Yeah, the Eldar gods were kind of like, well, there was like Cain, who I think was the god of war. And then there was like the leader who was called Asuryan, and there are a few others, and there was like there was a, as there always is, there was a prophecy of the like
The end of the Eldari.
yeah, just kind of
Dramatic.
well, it was more a prophecy that the Eldar would cause the downfall and death of all the Eldar gods.
Oh.
So Cain, who was the god of war, the Eldar god of war, who still kind of exists but doesn't. We'll probably touch on that.
I'm like,
for a bit.
Warhammer's so weird.
Yeah, no, it is. He was basically like, well, we can't let we can't let these guys destroy us, so decided to destroy them.
Yeah, I bet that went great.
Yeah,
how they're still around.
some of the other Eldar gods were like, can you not please? But he was the god of war, so you know there was like there was some fighting and yeah, it's essentially, and this is all Eldar myth, may not even be real,
right?
But basically, two sides formed
during the...
and yeah, like they kind of had a bit of a cold war for a while, I think, where they were just you know, like dinner at the family table was decidedly frosty.
You're not going to destroy me. I'm going to destroy you.
Could you please pass the potatoes?
Not even saying please. That's how you know that it's serious. Pass me the potatoes.
You want to take everything I want? I can't even have potatoes.
Yes, and next I'll take your life.
somehow Steve's there, just like sitting at the table. Like, I always find the worst places to go.
What excellent boiled potatoes.
I was sent out for pizza 2 million years ago. How did I get here?
This isn't pizza. This isn't coffee. Oh, Steve.
But yeah, no, they approached the one of the, I'm not even sure who it was. All I know is that essentially during this time when they kind of like completely cut themselves off from the physical reality, you know,
the gods did.
Yeah, the gods did. They essentially got, I think his name is Vane. I may need a second to go look that up.
Mm-hmm.
They got an Eldar god who was like the smith god, the crafter god, I guess. And he made spirit stones.
Good.
Essentially, spirit stones are things that living Vul, that was his name, Vul. I was close. Vane, Vul, you know. You can understand why I thought an Eldar god would be called Vane.
They're so dramatic, honestly.
They really are. Look at this one, like fucking planted on the top of a.
Look, she's having a serious time. She's in a fight.
That's true. Well, you don't know that.
She's fighting something, whether it be monotony in the universe.
She could just be posing for Eldar Monthly.
Yeah. And
sorry,
then it's a
Eldari
battle.
Monthly.
It's a battle against monotony. Gotta be.
Well, here's a tip for everyone before we get into why. If you want to battle monotony, if you want to battle monopoly, if you want to battle monotony, don't do it the way the Eldar did.
With giant guns and cults and sacrifices and birthing a new god.
Yeah. We'll get there.
See, I know that meme. And I have heard of the soul stones.
Yes,
again,
they are very important.
Again, because of our tabletop.
Yeah.
Game.
Yes, I would say Greek or Norse mythology. It's very, you know, the gods are fallible. They're kind of dumb. they have prophecies that trick them into doing the thing that they shouldn't do to make the prophecy come true. It's all very. You know what? I could see it being more Greek than Norse, even because the Norse gods are just kind of dicks. They're basically human. So basically, with the Spirit Stones, some of the gods who wanted to carry on helping the Eldar race, the Aeldari, were able to communicate with them and teach them and raise them, and you know, all of this is kind of translated into it being the Old Ones and that type thing. But who knows? It's
Those jerks again.
And essentially, at one day, Cain, god of war, found out that the other gods, a few of the other gods, were talking with the Eldari with the Spirit Stones, and he was like, "Yo, that's a fucking violation of the laws. We all agreed not to have any influence. I was going to murder all of the Eldar, and I wasn't allowed. Where are my fucking potatoes?"
Yes, it's murder time.
Yeah, and this was at the Eldari Pantheon family barbecue, so
Right.
obviously it was very, very awkward.
Oh boy.
And there was a big argument, and everyone was like, "Oh, well, come on!" And then Asuryan, the head, basically Zeus,
Boss man. Yeah.
Asuryan was like, "Well, I kind of understand that you wanted to talk to our children or whatever the fuck they were, the Eldar. But you broke my laws, so I'm gonna give you to Cain, and Cain can do whatever he likes to you."
Oh no. So,
But obviously, like nothing bad's gonna, like, they're gods, and this is 40k. Nothing bad's gonna happen. So Cain tortured the gods who had broken the laws, basically as horrifically as he could.
yeah.
And a lot of the other gods were like, "Hey, now that's a little bit too far." And
That's excessive.
yeah.
Sorry.
And then I think it was Vul again, the blacksmith, was like, "Hey, let them go, and I'll make you a whole load of swords." And Cain was like, "You make awesome swords, so make me 100, and then we'll be good."
Sounds like a good deal to me.
Yeah.
100 swords.
So he essentially had a year to make 100 swords. He made 99, which means that the agreement didn't go, like, it was like, "Nope, didn't make enough. Sorry." And he essentially tried to trick Cain and was like, "Here's 100 swords. I made them all, including this one here, which is just a normal sword, but you don't know that."
Sneak it in there. Right.
And yeah.
And he I feel like, did he know about that, or?
So he did find out.
Yep.
After he'd given over the gods who he was torturing. And then he was like, "Yo, this is a spoon." And it's not even a good spoon. It's a plastic spoon from McDonald's.
Oof. It doesn't exist yet, but oof.
Yeah. And essentially that set off the war. And it's known as the War in Heaven, which is why 40k lore can be so confusing. Because a lot of people say it's a metaphor, like that the Eldar tell themselves, or like, myths that have been passed down.
But it's just the War in Heaven. Okay.
Yeah. So it's possible that this is real. It's possible that it's just the Eldar myths for their gods.
So did he go to war to kill the Eldar, go to war to fight the other gods that, or bring back the gods they freed, or did he fight?
There was a massive war between all of the gods, and they like changed sides and murdered each other, and those horrible times.
Just total argy.
Which happened around the same time, interestingly, that the Eldar had a big war between themselves.
Right. Almost as if they are impacted by their gods.
Yeah.
Okay. Ooh, nearly knocked some water over there.
Oh. Um. Essentially,
Mm-hmm.
Vul was like, I'm going to make the final sword. And he made a sword that was better than all of the others. And then he went to fight Cain with this awesome sword, which was like amazing.
He'd had a lot of practice by that point.
Well, you'd think so, but you guys are ass kicked by Cain because Cain was the god of war.
Yeah, I mean, he's had practice building swords, maybe not with war.
So Cain was like, bitch, you tricked me, and I only got 99 swords because he's just an asshole. And so he like, I think he cut off his hand or like cut off an ear or he cut something off, I think, and then tied him, like chained him to his anvil. And
Oh.
I imagine tortured him more because, you know.
Because he'd be like that.
Yeah.
Oh. Poor Bean.
And then the sword that he'd forged was like taken to the real world and given to a hero. I can't remember his name. Searching through. Eldanesh, the greatest of the mortal Eldari heroes.
How did that come about? Like, would Cain not have pinched a badass sword? Like I would have.
No, apparently a falcon who was on Fool's side like went and grabbed it.
Right. And
So-
flew to the mortal world to give it to a hero. Okay.
It's myths. I'm not
It's
sure.
myths. Sorry, I'm like,
it-
what really happened? What are the rules?
Oh yeah. I'm not sure there's even any like books on this. This is all kind of like additional lore that's in like codexes through the ages and you know etc. Yeah, it could all be bollocks, to be fair. It really could. But it's interesting because it sounds very Greek or Norse. Because Eldanesh was like, well, I should go and fight Cain and stop, you know, because otherwise he's going to come over and kill all of us. And Cain was like, okay, am God, also am God of war, also you're mortal, and basically just got destroyed. I think Cain like stepped on him.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's a bit grumpy to be honest. It's only the death of gods.
Well, then after that, Asuryan was like, okay, that's enough, war's over. And Cain was like, okay, cool, I killed enough people, bye.
I'm appeased.
And then the war was over.
Oh well, that was anticlimactic.
Yeah.
But if he's
and
happy.
then, well, and then, like millions of years later, the Eldar had, you know, this is like the golden age of the Eldar when they have the Empire, and you know they've made the webway, which kind of goes into you know like let's call it pierces, but not really pierces. Sits in the Immaterium, and they're like, we have gone to the extent of the galaxy. We can wander anywhere we like. We have plumbed the depths of technology and everything. I think they're probably still less powerful than the old ones and the Necrontyr and the Catan, but you know they were doing pretty well for themselves. And they were like, let's just you know figure out what to do.
Oh no.
Which is essential, like long story short, Slaanesh was born.
They just had a good time.
Yeah. And essentially, when Slaanesh was born, yeah.
Sorry.
When Slaanesh was born, Slaanesh killed all of the Eldar gods. Aside from kind of Cain. See, the thing is Cain fought Slaanesh.
Yeah.
And was beaten, but was also shattered into pieces. A bit like the Catan, how the Catan are like
Yeah.
shards now.
Okay.
Um, which are now he's now kind of like all the pieces of Cain and now the avatars of Cain that sometimes get summoned. I don't know if you've ever seen an avatar of Cain, but they're basically like a giant, angry, slightly lava type. You know what? I'll find a picture.
Okay.
So yeah, that's essentially what happened. It also, as far as I remember, that's how the Eye of Terror got ripped open. I think that was Slaanesh's birth.
Yeah, I think that it was a pretty dramatic event.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I'll show you the miniature because hey, you never know. You may end up using this at some point. But that's an avatar of Cain. I always felt it has a distinctly
Oh.
kind of like samurai look to it.
Yeah, I think I saw those when I was looking at which miniatures to buy.
Yeah. Yeah, the avatar of Cain is very cool, but when you know how much of an asshole he is, you're like, eh.
No, I'll pass.
He also looks like an overcharged Necron a little bit.
Turbocharged.
Or,
Yeah.
have you seen Thor, like the original
Yeah.
Thor film? He looks like that thing that fires laser beams out of its face.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was looking at the Necrons and like, when you look at the Eldar helmets, though, they're not far off.
No, they're similar, but you know, hey, they're from the same time, so maybe.
It was just the aesthetic of the times. It's like the 70s, but the Eldars.
Oh God, all the terrible decor. My sidebar for no reason. My mate has just moved into a new house, and it was decorated and built in the 70s.
Oh,
so he's
fun.
currently hating on all the like they're ripping everything out, and he's like fucking 70s.
Pink bathtub.
Yeah, that kind of shit.
Yep.
What was wrong with the 70s, really? So that all happened, and then everyone was like, hey, that prophecy from millions of years ago came true.
Yeah.
The Eldar were the cause of the death of Cain and all the other gods.
You know, I don't have a lot of sympathy for them.
It's hard to, because they're still assholes.
Still, like, Cain's not even like fully dead, and he's still an asshole.
See, this is the thing, is like with the Necrons, the majority of the Necrons were never particularly nice.
They were great people.
They had a bad start. They had a scuffed spawn.
They just wanted to make friends.
I'm not sure. But you know, like the majority of them didn't really ask they just kind of like did what they were told, and then got turned into essentially soulless machines. You know, the majority of them did. Whereas the Eldar went through all this horrific stuff, and you meet them in current day 40k, and you're like, why are you still assholes? Why do you basically almost destroyed the universe and set it on a course for misery and terror for thousands of years. Why do you still think you're the best? It's really annoying. Stop it.
You've got to be confident. Don't let anyone tell you that you're not the best. That's how it is.
So, yeah, it's... I mean, you know, it's...
I keep hitting the light today where the camera's perched. I apologize.
Oh.
It's getting a bit wobbly.
So this war in heaven, essentially, it may not have happened.
I think it did.
Yeah, I mean, I like it as a story, and the thing is, the gods do exist in 40k. You know, you've got the Avatar of Cain, for example.
Yeah.
Like that's the Catan were kind of gods. You've got Slaanesh, you've got all this type of thing, and there's a new Eldar god that's forming.
Uh-oh.
Like in current storyline.
Oh, really?
We won't talk about that quite now. No. Like Gork and Mork have a section of the Immaterium, I believe, where they punch each other.
Oh. Okay.
Gork and Mork are the two orc gods.
I guessed a little at the name, I'm not gonna lie. But it's not called the Immaterium anymore, right? It's the Warp.
It's kind of called both.
Both?
It's.
Okay.
We may talk about them later, but the new Eldar god is called Ynead. It's like Ynnead.
Ynead, okay.
And it's essentially it's the Eldar just trying to find a new fucking path so that they don't have to deal with all the bullshit that they have to deal with, which honestly they kind of deserve. Like, I'm hot take. I'm putting it out there.
Not a fan of the Eldar then. Oh my god, I might just have to move this because I keep hitting it and I feel bad.
Yeah, that hasn't been noticeable to me, but
there's a little wobble every time.
So that's kind of the myths and the early parts of the Eldar. To go a bit more into it, like they didn't have the same problems the Imperium has now. You know, in the current age of 40k and for the last few thousand years of 40k. Essentially, because they could do anything and they could go anywhere and there was kind of like nothing to stop them, they just kind of ignored any warning signs and they ignored pretty much everything.
Great. Warning
they
signs
just like
for...
well, just like okay, so let's find it. Where the hell was it? There was a planet. Shit, I can't remember. I have the notes on it. Where there was a planet that that essentially got. Is it here?
Make up a name. I believe you. I believe in you. And I'll probably believe you what the planet's called as well.
Oh yeah. No, it was it was before like it was right at the peak where they were because there's a name as well. God, it's really annoying me now. Sorry. Yeah. No. It's essentially. Yeah. His name was Steve.
Steve. The planet Steve. Don't joke.
No. The there's a guy who turns up and he's like, "Hey, what's up? Why don't we start this cult that's really super into excess? Like anything that we do." And all the Eldar on the planet were like, "This sounds like a good idea. I think we should do this."
I think it's a great idea.
And then they started like worshipping, and well, they like sacrificing, and they like sacrificed their kids and stuff, and they had like massive orgies and did loads of drugs and all that type of thing. So
all Slaanesh's favorite things.
Yeah, these are a few of my favorite things. There should be a Birth of Slaanesh song that to the tune of that.
I bet there is somewhere.
I hope so. That would make me very happy.
New mission to find it. God, right. I have to start being careful now because it's going into quite a dark color with Caliban green.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
It's getting interesting.
The thing about this model is in some places it's really closed off. So if you look at where the cloth is, um, where the ribbons are flowing, it goes into the hair. It's just a little like, why you like this? Ugh. Okay, I can do this though. I believe
But yeah, essentially,
they went to a planet with a warning. That's where we were.
yeah, essentially the problem that the Eldar had was the since the Necrons fell and disappeared and kind of went to sleep, the Eldar were like, there's no threat to them. Even the orcs and things like that, it's like, can be a pain, but whatever. So they kind of like ripped wild for a while. And yeah, like loads of planets, and they figured out the webway, expanded into the webway, and built massive portal cities. One of which was called Komarag.
Komarag.
We'll learn about Komarag probably a bit more once we delve into the Dark Eldar.
Okay.
Because that's like their home essentially. And yeah, just kind of there were some wars between themselves and other. Very often, the reason why they were never challenged, to be fair, is because they would go like, "Hey, this intelligent species is trying to make an empire. Let's go to war."
Oh, so they'd break them before they had a chance.
Well, to be fair, like at the same time, the little upstart, factions and stuff were trying to like get their own part of space, start their own empire type thing.
Outrageous!
So,
How dare they?
I mean, like the same kind of thing happened with the old ones and the Necron tier. To be fair,
You got hiccups.
I maybe a little bit.
Carry on.
And then I think for a while I think they started. Oh! You know who we should talk about because they're hilarious. We should talk about the Exodites.
You're jumping around topics here.
Sorry, but it's worth talking about the Exodites because as some of the Eldar got more and more depraved,
yeah,
and more like death culty and sacrifice cults and torture cults and all those lovely things. Basically, what the best way to think about the Eldar is like Rome. It essentially mirrors the fall of Rome.
yeah.
Except for they had a big orgy and then a Chaos God appeared, as opposed to they all got kind of lazy and infighty, and then people with big clubs came and smacked them around the head. So the Exodites are fun because they were like, we don't like what's going on. We don't like our society anymore. Let's leave and let's go to other worlds. Basically, they went to settle on worlds that were a bit shitter.
They were bored. They want hard mode.
Not really wanting hard mode. It's just obviously the Eldar themselves had kind of like taken all the nice worlds and like turned them into really nice places. If you want to go somewhere where people like that won't be, go to the giant jungle world that's trying to murder you.
Right. Okay.
What's up, Kata-chan? I see you. You can't see it, but I did like a finger guns thing because I got some love for the Kata-chan jungle fighters.
You're really cool. That's why you did it.
Yeah, that's why. So, yeah, a lot of the Exodites were just like, yeah, get fuck away. and were either they were exiled or they left of their own cause, went down onto these like rough worlds, and then just kind of like not stagnated, but it gave them challenges, and that obviously like it was a bit of a harsher existence, so they weren't like bored and wanting to torture their children or anything.
Right.
Which one of the reasons I like the Exodites a bit more, because they were like, you know what? No, this is bullshit, and then it didn't do it. Essentially, when Slaanesh showed up and was like, "Hey, what's up?"
Why does Slaanesh sound like that? Okay.
I don't know. You're a young up and coming chaos god. You burst onto the scene. You're like, "Hey,
What
how
up?"
you doing?
Okay.
Can I want to talk to you about excess, and etc. So, hey, they're not gonna sound like an old grandma or anything. But the Exodite worlds weren't affected.
Oh, because they didn't partake in the excessiveness, right?
Yeah, they were cool. The only problem is you probably don't know too much about the birth of Slaanesh and the ensuing like isolation and warp storm and
No,
whatnot.
it was mainly like the generalized worshippers of Slaanesh and the circles, I guess.
Yeah.
Completely forgotten
Yeah.
most of it, but
Oh yeah. No, it's cool. Essentially, it cut off a lot of the warp for a while, and a lot of civilization was basically had no way to travel through space or do anything. So essentially, was just like, we'll just chill on ourselves, and and just progress as a society without all this annoying outside influence, and promptly fell into like barbarism.
oh,
I mean, a lot of worlds did. The Exodites essentially maintained some level of technology, but also fell into like pre-industrial kind of feudalism.
but they got past it.
No,
No.
no. I think they were kind of like, look what happened to my boys. And they were like, maybe we shouldn't be the ones who, maybe we shouldn't be the ones who are in charge of the galaxy. Look what we did to it.
Look what we did. Oh, the guilt.
Yeah.
But
So there are a lot of Eldar on Craftworlds actually who are like, these are the people who knew what were happening. These are the people who should lead us. I can't remember which Craftworld it is, but there's a Craftworld who is like heavily a fan of Exodites, and very often if like an orc invasion hits or whatever hits an Exodite planet, that craft world will go and show up and be like, "Yo, no, don't touch my children. They're the good ones."
they're the we like them.
Yeah.
They tried.
But I just to the reason why we did a little sidebar off into the Exodites is that a lot of the Exodite like forces and stuff kind of revolve around dinosaurs.
Dinosaurs. I'm
Yeah,
trying to paint
so-
tiny straps here. You distract me with dinosaurs?
Sorry. So you have like Eldar riding dinosaurs, and like
This is outrageous.
I think some of them have like have like big brontosauruses with like big buildings built on top of their backs, and they like live on there, and the brontosauri like wander around, and they're like brrr. So
Beautiful
I just
sound
wanted
effects.
to that's my dinosaur noise. A lot of uh, yeah, the whole thing essentially, I feel, was I'm gonna guess it was around probably 94 was when they kind of started to turn up. So Jurassic Park kind of type of era.
Mm.
So I think they kind of came off the back of Jurassic Park, and essentially Games Workshop was like, dinosaurs. We need dinosaurs in 40k. How can we do that? And they were like, fucking Eldar, maybe. So that's